So I'm Steve North, I'm the branch secretary of Salford City Unison. I originally got involved in the campaign to save the 5 council nurseries because the union branch that I lead as branch secretary represents the people who work in those nurseries. So when we were made aware that the nurseries were due to close, or it was going to be proposed that they would close in August this year, we immediately realised that that would have an impact on over 100 of our members who would be out of a job. As well as that, I live in Salford, I've always lived in Salford, and I didn't want to see the loss of what I knew to be really vitally important services to the people of the city, particularly to children and their families. So as well as having a kind of work connection in my union role, there was also the sort of personal connection of knowing that we couldn't just sit back and allow these nurseries to close without trying to do something to keep them open.
So how did the idea come about to do the walk from Victoria Park to Salford Council offices?
Well, what originally happened when we found out that the nurseries were, that it was going to be proposed that the nurseries would close, we organised a large public meeting. About 250 to 300 people turned up to that at about 6 days' notice. And at that time, the council were still intending on going ahead with the consultation to close the nurseries in August this year. So we'd originally planned to hold a demonstration outside the full council meeting, which was to take place the following week. Over the course of the next couple of days, the city mayor contacted us and said that he'd considered the outcome of the public meeting and that they would pause the start of a consultation for 30 days in order to allow for a joint campaign to try and get the money we needed to keep the nurseries open from government. Through those 30 days, we managed to secure another 1.5 million from the council and guarantee that the nurseries would stay open until at least September 2019. So the march was organised really to galvanise the forces within Salford who wanted to campaign in support of the nurseries, to show, yes, to the council, but also to the government and to the media just how widely supported these nurseries were, and to prepare us for the next stages of the campaign, which to go to Westminster and approach this issue with the government directly, which we now have a date to do.
What date have you got for that?
So that'll be taking place on the 25th of April. We'll be taking a coach load of campaigners, including the city mayor, people from the union, parents, nursery workers, some kids, some children down from Salford to London. We've got a meeting organised in the Palace of Westminster that we'll be inviting MPs to come along to hear more about the campaign and how they can support our demands for proper early years funding for council nurseries. We're hoping as well to have a question asked at Prime Minister's Questions, and also for a meeting with a relevant government minister to see whether or not we can get them to agree to put some funding in, or even better to change the rules, which mean that council nurseries can continue to be funded and R5 can stay open beyond September 2019.
So if anybody wanted to get involved with the campaign or help in any way, what's the best?
The easiest way to do it, if anybody is on Facebook, the easiest way to get involved in the campaign is we've got 2 Facebook groups. We've got Save Our 5 Outstanding Nurseries and also Fight for the 5, which has become the kind of the tagline of the campaign. So anyone who's on social media can get in touch that way. If they're not on social media and they want to find out more, they can always contact us at the union office. Probably the easiest way to do that is by phone, which is 0161 794 7425. We're open Monday to Friday 9 till 5, so or people can just pop in. We're on Charlie Road in Swinton, so anyone can feel free. But anybody, all the information is at the 5 nurseries, and as I say, if you're on social media, you can get on there and find out very easily what's going on.
So are there any other campaigns similar to this going on in the country that you're aware of?
Yeah, we found out following the start of our campaign that Salford wasn't the only place in the country that was being affected like this. These changes to nursery funding are affecting a number of places. So we know that there's a campaign in Birmingham, we know there's a campaign in Bradford, we know there's one in Cambridge, and we're in touch with these campaigns. And when we go to London on the 25th, we've invited them to come along with us, to contact their MPs, to make sure we get their MPs into the meeting as well that we're holding in Westminster. So we're working with them, building those links, because we recognise that this is a national issue. Obviously, our prime focus is to fight for our 5 nurseries in Salford, but we all recognise that if we want to secure a long-term future for services like this, it's best for us to link up with other parts of the country, to lend support to what they're doing, obviously, and to get support from them for our fight as well.
So when you were told that the nurseries were going to continue to stay open until September 2019, how did you
I think when we found out that the nurseries were going to stay open for at least another 12 months, there was obviously a sense of relief that we'd made what we felt was quite a significant breakthrough, and that it would allow us time to campaign properly, for the government to listen to what we had to say, to try and get the changes in place to keep them open longer than that. We're not out of the woods by any stretch. We've only got a 12-month reprieve. It could be that we're not successful in our campaign with the government, and we don't get the funding, and therefore we've got this problem next year. There is also a consultation that the council is currently undertaking, which a lot of us advised against, which is inviting alternative suggestions from the market and from the community and voluntary sector about potentially running these nurseries in the future. But we're very clear, we believe these nurseries are successful because they're run within the public sector, because they invest in their staff, because they invest in training, because they invest in the young people that they support. And we don't believe that the private sector or the community and voluntary sector are going to be able to provide that. So we're absolutely clear we want to keep them open in the public sector. So we know that that is a fight that we've still got. And the best chance we've got of winning that fight is to get funding from the government, because then that way the money will be there to keep them open as they are. If we're not successful, then we're going to have to challenge the council over that. But yeah, obviously finding out that the nurseries are secure for another year, that parents can put their children into the nurseries with confidence this September, knowing that they're going to be there at least for the next 12 months, is a significant step forward. And I think getting another £1.5 million invested in those nurseries only sort of 3 or 4 weeks into the campaign gave us a lot of hope that if we keep going, we can have even more success in the longer run.
Do you think the council's doing enough to help you with the campaign?
I think that we are getting support from. I think there's a mixed bag, if I'm completely honest with you. I think at a political level, the level of support has definitely improved. Obviously, at the start of this, we were in conflict with the city mayor, we were in conflict with councillors, because they were intending to move straight to a consultation that could have resulted in closures this year. So that was difficult, and clearly at that point we were campaigning against the council. Since then, the city mayor and other councillors have supported the £1.5 million additional money, and also taken closure off the table and taken any changes off the table for 12 months. And that's earned them a lot of trust, and that's why we felt okay about the city mayor speaking at the public rally, and other councillors being part of that as well. And to be fair, some of the councillors really did help a lot, and one particular councillor I think deserving of praise is Councillor Sammy Bellamy, who did an awful lot of work actually building the march with us and organised all of the events really that took place. So there is a lot of support from the council, but at the same time we remain concerned that by entering into the consultation, the council is potentially opening the door for private providers in the city who would just see these nurseries as an opportunity to make profit, as a way of getting their hands on them. So they've earned more trust than they had maybe 6 weeks ago, and we're comfortable to continue to work with them to try and get the long-term funding that we need. But I think the council and the mayor know that we are watching what happens at every step, and that our only loyalty is to the nurseries. We're not loyal to anybody else. We will do what is required to defend those nurseries, the staff that work in them, and the parents who need them. If the council are working with us, great. And they are working with us more now than they were a couple of months ago. But if the council stops working with us or starts working against us, then we won't be afraid of finding ourselves in conflict with the council if necessary.